Let us start with the session. So as part of the yesterday's session, guys, if you observe, we have created one small program wherein which we are passing parameters to this particular method. So what is the significance of passing parameters to a particular method? If there is any requirement for me, usually if at all there is any requirement for me, and in that particular requirement, I need to create a method in such a way that should work in a dynamic in nature. So the ultimate objective of a method itself is to work in a dynamic nature. In order to achieve that particular thing, we need to pass parameters or arguments to a method. So whenever you are passing parameters or arguments to a particular method, then only we can achieve it in a dynamic way. Okay, then only we can achieve it in a dynamic way. So that's the reason yesterday we have created one sum method wherein which we passed two different arguments, a and a b. This sum method is going to perform the operation of two different numbers, and as discussed within a class we are just creating a method. The parameters to this method will be passed in the runtime whenever you are creating an object. So one thumb rule that we need to consider is if a method is having parameters, okay, if a method is having parameters, then we need to pass those parameters when we are calling that method with the help of an object. So this is what the ultimate point that we have discussed yesterday. You just need to pass on these arguments. Yeah.
Sorry, Andy, I'm interrupting. Actually, we didn't discuss about this yesterday. You were telling about how to assign variables, and you were telling about how to print a line. That's it.
Got it. So Deepa, actually you guys didn't join the session yesterday, right? So we conducted the session yesterday for about 40 minutes, wherein which we discussed this thing. So I will do one thing. So I will take a brief overview on this concept after completion of the today's session. Okay, so what we have done, after 50 minutes, you guys can stay online who missed yesterday's class, and then I can cover a backup today itself. Okay, done. So whenever there is a method which is having a parameters, it's a mandatory for us to pass the parameters whenever we are calling that particular method. That's what the key point which we need to consider. So that's what we did basically. In demo 3, we created a method with the parameters, and in a demo 4, we are just passing those parameters here wherever you are calling it. Perfect. And once you are done with this, see guys, let me write down, okay, let me write down or execute the program. So whenever I executed this program here, if you observe, the sum, the dynamic sum got performed and it got printed down to the console too. Okay, the dynamically the sum operation got achieved and it got retrieved down to the console. That's it. So this is the way how exactly we need to deal with this particular thing. But one thing, guys, if you observe, the sum is directly printing to the console. I'm not performing any other operation on top of printing this value to the console. But my requirement is, okay, my requirement is I want to perform some operation, and along with that, I need to use the sum outcome into a different variable. So I just need to use the sum outcome into a different variable. How this is going to work? Let me show you that. So it means this sum outcome is directly printing down to the console. My requirement is I don't want to print that outcome to the console. I just want to store it in a variable here. If that's the case, how you will be creating a method means public void addition is the method int a comma int b. int A comma int B. Int C is equal to A plus B. I'm adding these two numbers. Now, what I'm doing means I'm adding a return statement as a C, return C. Int A equal to, or we are passing two parameters A and B. Whichever the parameters you are passing, the sum of these two parameters, I'm storing it in a new variable C. And for this method, I have added one more statement, which is a return. Return is a keyword that we have added to a method. For this return, we are passing C variable, and this C is of an integer type. And here, one thumb rule which we need to remember is, if a method is having a void, means it's not going to return anything. If a method is having anything other than a void, which is a data type, we can say that this method is returning that value as a outcome. Whichever the value we are getting from that particular method data type, this method will return that particular value. It means wherever we are going to use that method, wherever you are going to use that particular method, there is an option for us to get that value and store it. Fine, I will show you that. But the thumb rule here is void should be replaced with a data type. And that data type, whatever we are doing is here, this data type is an integer, and I'm just passing this integer as a data type for that. Public integer addition. So what is the significance of this particular addition is, so here, this method is going to return a value for us. Okay, and the above method is not returning a value. But guys, if you compare these two methods, the public void sum method and public void addition method, both are doing addition operations itself. The objective is one and the same, whereas the method with a return type is adding a one more addition operation for us, which is it is returning a value for us, so that if at all we are in a need, we can use this return value and we can perform that particular operation. Okay, we can use the return value and we can perform that particular operation. So what I'm doing right now means obj dot addition is the method that we have created. For this addition, I'm passing 100 comma 150. That's it, I call it. So immediately a quick question will rise in our mind. Surendra, what is the difference between add, sum and this addition? I didn't find much difference whenever I'm calling it. Now, once you call this method, guys, if you mouse over on your previous method sum, if you observe the tooltip message that it's being populated, void. So this method is not returning anything. That's what the first keyword it is saying, followed by class name dot method name. Whereas if you mouse over on this addition, it is saying that the first keyword has an integer. The meaning is this method outcome is an integer value. Whatever the value you are getting from this particular method, you can store it in an integer. So I'm storing it in int x is equal to. This complete method outcome, you are storing it inside an x variable. So for this method, you are passing 100 comma 150. So this method will add 100 plus 150. So the sum is a 250, and we are storing a 250 in an x variable. So immediately another question that rises in our mind, buddy, you're storing in an x. What you are going to do? It's up to my wish. I can perform any operation using this value. I can compare it. I can do an incremental operation, decremental operation. I can do a conditional statement, any kind of an operation that I can perform. as of now, we were least bothered about the operations which we are performing on a return value, which is a X. The ultimate objective that we should know is if a method is having a return keyword, then whatever the return data type is there, this method void should be replaced with that data type, so that whenever you hover a mouse on that particular method where you are calling, it will be specifying that information that buddy, this method is going to return an integer. You can store it in an integer. This method is going to return a string. This is what a string is. Like that, we just need to specify this information, guys. Any questions for me, or you are good so far? Perfect.
Yeah, one thing.
I have a quick question as well.
Yeah, just go ahead one after another. Yeah. Shiva, go ahead, please.
Yeah, actually we created two classes, right? Demo 3 and demo 4.
Yes.
Yeah, if we want to create only one class, so that object addition.
We can do that. So all these things as of now, what are we doing means we are maintaining two different classes and we are just calling the information present in one class in another class. This is one way of accessing. Slowly moving ahead, maybe after 2 to 3 sessions, we will see how to access the information within a one class. We will see that info as well. We will see how exactly we are going to deal with it. We will see. But for that, we should know some basics. Those basics we are covering here. Okay, guys?
Sure.
Done the deal. Perfect. Yeah. Any other questions?
You answered my call.
Okay, perfect. Done the deal. So this is the thing. And now this is all about the methods, guys. So this is the way how exactly we need to deal with these methods. You can perform any kind of an operation on top of these methods. Okay, and so as of now we were just exploring on the Java tool and studying about this Java. That's the reason we were not focusing on a full lengthy logics inside a method. And additionally, one thing is, guys, so here I'm calling these methods, right? If I want to go to that logic, press Control from your keyboard and mouse over on that particular method name. It will display as a hyperlink. Whenever you press Control and mouse over, it will display as a hyperlink. Clicking on that hyperlink will be navigating to that method definition. Clicking on that hyperlink will be navigated to a method definition. The keyboard shortcut key is press Control and mouse over. Automatically, that will be navigating to that particular method. It will display as a hyperlink. Perfect. This is all about the methods, guys. We have seen what is a method, how to create a method, and then how to pass parameters to a method, and then how to add a return statement to a method. Okay, how exactly we can add a return statement to a method. Additionally, on top of this one, we have already seen that how to navigate to method definition also. We have seen this. These are all about the various methods, concepts that we have. Okay, these are all the various concepts that we have. Perfect. And on top of this one, once we are done with respect to these methods and other things, then the next point that we need to consider here is, okay, so we discussed about various kinds of methods, and let us see about operators. See, somehow we have already seen certain operator in our program, which is a plus. This plus is precisely used for adding of numbers. Okay, adding of numbers. Before plus there is a number, and then after plus there should be a number, so that the content of these numbers will be added by using this plus. So we have already seen this plus operation. So this plus is used for performing an addition operation. Minus is used for subtraction, multiplication, okay, division, and later okay, module, and then greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, increment, plus plus, minus minus, okay, boolean, and or equal to, not equal to. So these are the various kinds of operators whichever we are going to use in our day-to-day works. Okay, day-to-day life, when you have started working on your scripting part, these are all the operators that you are going to use. So plus, minus, multiplication, division, basically module is a division, basically, which will be printing down the remainder here. Greater than is used to check whether one number is greater than another number or not. Less than is used to check whether one number is less than another number or not. Greater than or equal to is precisely used to check whether that number is whether greater than or equal to that particular number, less than or equal to that particular number. And then plus plus and a minus minus means, plus plus means it's an increment operator. So plus plus means it's an increment operator, where in which you will be incrementing just by one. So this plus plus is used to increment only by one. And minus minus is used to decrement only by one. Okay, both the plus plus and minus minus are used either to increment or to perform a decrement operation only by one number itself, only by one value itself. Okay, perfect. And then, so let me show you an example for this. For this plus plus, there are two types of plus plus and a minus minus. Pre-increment and a post-increment. So it means plus plus x plus plus. That's it. Plus plus x and x plus plus. These are the two different things that we have. Okay, these are the two different things that we have basically. Pre-increment, post-increment. Let me create a simple Java class to explain this concept. So here, I'm creating a new Java class, demo 5 with the main methods. Okay, demo 5 with the main methods. So here, what I have done right now is, in this demo 5, what I'm doing right now means, so int x is equal to 1. And later, system.out.println plus plus x. So plus plus means a pre-increment. The significance of this pre-increment is, before performing the operation, increment it first and then perform the operation. Okay, increment it first and then perform the operation. In the current example, my x value is a 1 and the action that you are doing is a print statement where you have a plus plus. So it means it will increment the x value first and then it will print. My x value is a 1 that I have defined. So as it is incrementing by 1, my x becomes 2 right now. So let me try to run the script as a Java application. It should print 2 to the console. Run as a Java application and 2 got printed down to the console. That's it, guys. This 2 got printed down to the console. Perfect. Done the deal. And later, on top of this one, let me comment this one. System.out.println x plus plus. So we are doing a post increment. The significance of the post increment is, perform the operation first and then increment it. The operation that we have here is basically printing. So my initial X value is 1. So it will print 1 to the console. So when I run my test script as a Java application, 1 got printed. Immediately a question will rise in our mind. Okay, buddy, now 1 got printed. Whether X value got incremented or not, how exactly we can cross check? So I can add a system.out.println of X directly to see whether this X value got incremented or not. Run as a Java application. See, the first time it printed only 1, but as the X got already updated, the X value, the second time it's being printed down to 2. That's it. So that's been printed down to 2. That's it. So this is the way how exactly we can deal with it. Any questions for me, guys, on this? Everyone?
Surendra, this is Anusha. I have a question.
Yeah, Anusha, go ahead, please.
Post incremental means like, yeah, we have given the value of X is 1.
Yes.
Shouldn't it be 1 plus 1? Can you explain?
Yeah, so here, this is 1, right? So what the post increment will do, see, if you consider the line number 9, basically, it's system.out.println X plus plus. So plus plus means what it will do, it will check what is the operation it needs to perform. The operation is a system.out.println. So immediately it will print the value whichever we have in an X variable first. Okay, whatever the value we have in an X variable, it will print that value. As of now, my X is defined as a 1, hence it printed down 1 to the console. And later there is a plus plus operation. What does it mean? Increment it by 1. As it has already performed that operation, it is incrementing by 1, hence an X become 2 for us. Okay, got it, Anusha?
Yeah. If we don't pretend, if we don't have line number 10, without line number 10, it would not perform.
Yes, it will. It has already performed the operation in a backend. For us to cross check whether the action got performed or not, we just added the line number 10. That's it. But internally, it performed the operation for us to cross check, right? Whether it is being performing that operation or not. That's the reason explicitly I added a line number 10 to check whether it is up to the mark or not.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Done the deal. Any further questions on this topic, guys? Perfect. Done the deal. And then the next point that we need to consider here is, okay, so once after we have performed this operation, which is an increment. So guys, the quite opposite to this increment is a decrement. So increment will perform an increment operation and decrement will perform a decrement operation. Okay, it will increase the value and this one will decrease the value. Okay, perfect. Done the deal. So just give me a, okay. So we have already seen how exactly to deal with these operations. Right. So later, the point that we need to consider here is the increment and as well as a decrement. So we have an increment, we have already studied increment and a decrement. We have this AND operation. So what exactly this AND does? So if you guys remember, we usually study certain Boolean conditions, right? So A, B, and A and B. So A and B, if the A value is true, B value is true, A and B is true. If any one of these outcome is a false, the complete outcome for this method is a false itself. If A is a false or B is a false, the outcome of this A and B would be a false itself.
Last one should be true, right, Surendra? Both are false.
If both are false, outcome is a false. Na? So in order to get a true for this AND, anything, if anything is a false, the outcome is a false. Both should be true, then only the outcome will be true for this AND operation. Okay, so Boolean and Java. 1 second. Let me show you the images. See here this screenshot. So here, if any one of these things is false, the AND operator outcome is just false itself. If the AND operation outcome should be true, means A should be true, B should be true, then only A and B will be true. In all other cases, everything, if anything is a false, the outcome from this particular one is just a false itself. Okay, good. Done the deal. So this is the way how exactly we can perform these Boolean operations. Okay, so this is the way how exactly we can perform this Boolean operations. Okay, and quite opposite to the AND, basically it's a OR. So what is this OR does means if any one of these is true, the outcome for this OR operation is true. Okay, so if any one of these is true, the outcome for this particular one is true itself. Okay, good. Done the deal. So the next point that we need to consider here on top of this one is here, what are we going to do right now is, so OR operation. If any one of these things is true, the outcome for this A or B is true. This is true, this is true, this is true. Only for the last one, both are false, hence the outcome would be a false system. So where are we going to use these Boolean operations? So whenever we are working on some conditional statements and as well as the looping statements, in such situations, we are going to use these Boolean operations. Fine. So let us rejoin the session and let us study about this particular conditional and as well as the looping statements.